Back pain and walking. So I find, being able to assess someone just a sort of walking gait and pattern, just being able to see that, how they sort of naturally move when I first sort of, first see them, tends to give me sort of a lot of clues as to not just what's necessarily going on with the back, but other things that might be going on like the hips, the glutes, knees, shoulder, neck, and feet as well, particularly, which is why I'm going to assess someone's walking really ideally like I'm sort of barefoot or in socks, which is why I think it's important in a rehab facility to have a nice clean floor so that you can do that in, not like a dirty gym where people don't want to, go barefoot. So yeah, just a few ideas on walking. So one of the most typical patterns you see if someone's got back pain when they walk is they walk sort of very stiff, shouldered like. So what I mean by that is that they'll take very small, awkward steps, and they'll just sort of like their shoulders are very stiff and they don't move. They just sort of hang like this. So if we look from behind, some of my shoulders just don't move at all, and it's kind of small, laboured steps like this, and generally they walk very, very slowly. But also, because the movement mechanic of being that sort of still and kind of locked up is so inefficient, not only do they walk slowly, but it takes them a lot more effort than it should do. So what does a good walk look like? For someone who hasn't got back issues or some sort of hip issue or foot issue, well, they'll obviously be, nice and tall. The big thing to look for really initially is a bit of shoulder swing here, like this. See, my arms are quite loose, sort of about my shoulder joints. My shoulders, there's a little bit of almost like what I call swagger. But it's very efficient. And it's also a lot quicker than what I was doing before, which is how someone with back pain would normally walk. So the ability to sort of swing the arms a little bit and also have, the shoulder connected to the opposite glute and vice versa, that little bit of swagger that happens like that makes you, it's like a conservation of momentum, and it makes you walk very, very efficient. So that's what that's what your walk should look like. So if you've got back pain and you find that walking is very tiring or it sets your back off, what sort of drill can you run through or program can you run through to try and sort of tidy up your walking pattern? Well, a good one comes from Stuart McGill. So first of all, what you want to do is what he calls like leaning tower. So what he means by that is just stand with sort of feet shoulder width apart, nice and tall, a little bit of brace if you need to, if that helps the back, and then just lean your weight forward onto the front of your foot, then onto the back, almost like your toes will lift, and sort of zero your way in to where you think your center point is. So you feel like your weight is right in the middle of your foot. So there's a bit of weight on the front and the toes, and there's a bit of weight on the heel. It's kind of equally distributed. So getting that sort of leaning tower drill to find your midpoint is a good start. And then we want to stand nice and tall, so we're trying to pull the head up towards the ceiling with a bit of brace on if we can to help protect the back. That's our sort of, that's the position or the posture we're trying to sort of maintain as we walk. And then the important thing then is to get that sort of shoulder swing and not walk too stiff, which again takes a bit of practice. So again, I do my leaning tower, I find my center point, I'm up nice and tall, and just nice and relaxed. Just let the shoulders relax, and just try and maintain a nice upright posture. And if I walk this way, so shoulders are nice and relaxed. I can feel my glutes doing a little bit of work, but everything feels like it's doing its equal share. I'm not holding that weight in my lower back with a stiff lower back, stiff shoulders, and stiff legs. Just nice and relaxed. Nice and efficient, and that's what we're trying to practice. So you might find, if you're in the early stages, you might only be sort of do 5 or 10 minute bouts of that sort of walking, and then things might get a little bit tired because you're learning to hold that new posture with a bit of brace and get the back a bit straighter, which is fine. You just gradually build up. But that's what you're looking for, is you're looking for that nice, efficient, relaxed walking where the arms and the shoulders can help you with that conservation of momentum and help, take away that kind of hunch stiffness. Another thing to look at as well, going back to, I like to see clients in bare feet, is sometimes when you see them walk, and it can be indicative of like a hip and glute issue, is they'll sort of walk and there's that kind of like overpronation with the foot, like you'll see the toe lift up. If I go this way from back as well. So if I do it with my right foot here, So as I'm sort of making contact with the ground, I'm losing connection with that toe here. Sort of walking on the outside of my foot like that. So that's usually a good indicator. If someone does that, or if they tend to stand like that, then they might stand with one foot, both feet slightly like that. That's a good indicator to me that there's a disconnect between the feet and the glutes, which means that their hips are very stiff and inefficient, and also they've got very unstable legs. So sometimes it'll go hand in hand with like a knee pain, or possibly like weakness in the planters. I tend to have sort of very weak, chewed up planters in the bottom of their feet. The other thing as well is that's an indicator that the joint on top of your foot, which should allow for, if I grab the floor with my big toe, it should give me enough sort of rotation to rotate my leg up but keep the foot planted to the floor. And when I do that, I can feel that glute connect. So again, that's an indicator that if someone tries to do, if they've got that going on, they try to do things like squats and deadlifts, they're just going to the foot's just going to come straight up. They're going to have all sorts of weird hip pain, or maybe it might go up into the back. So again, looking at how well the feet are connected to the floor when people walk is another thing to look at. And lastly, you need to look at, which I don't see as often with sort of back pain issues, is just if the people's arches are completely collapsed inwards. So one way to tell that is if you sort of look from behind and it looks like the Achilles is kind of buckled in, that can be a sign that they've got very weak, tight plants on the bottom of the feet as well that need to be looked at. But for whatever reason, I generally don't see that as often with people with back issues. Maybe it's something to do with how their hips have compensated to help protect the back. But there's some ideas. So, good walking posture is tall, relaxed, the arms can swing. You're not all kind of stiff and almost hobbling and wasting energy and walking very slowly. And again, that carries over. If you can walk well and you've got good connection to the floor, then you've got a better chance of being able to do things like running and jumping correctly. But if you can't walk properly, and you're all stiff, there's no way you should really be sort of looking at doing things that involve a lot of running and jumping. So obviously you've got to crawl before you can walk and walk before you can run. But yeah, just some points there on walking, things to look out for. But that's generally what I look for is how the shoulders move, how the hips look, and also bare feet if possible. What are the feet doing? Are they lifting up? Are they collapsing? Or is one out at a weird angle or coming inwards? These are all little clues that give us indicators as to other things that are going on that may have led to the back issue. That's normally the case. It's not just the back. There's usually other stuff, and your body's using the back as a solution to those other problems that are going on. So yeah, just some ideas, things to try. Say you go, but yeah, again, try and aim for nice, efficient, relaxed walking. And if you do get that, it can be a good sort of tonic for your lower back, to go for a sort of a good 20 to 30 minute walk a day with good technique. You might find it actually going to ease up the back because it sort of tunes up the band in the orchestra and gets everything sort of working together nicely. So from your foot all the way up towards your shoulders, everything's kind of playing the same tune at the same tempo. So things to look at, and that's why I always like to assess, not just standing posture but also walking gait when looking at back pain problems.